So, why are students revolting? I've come here to SOAS to find out why. And we have a delightful person to interview. Why are students revolting?
They're not revolting, they're delightful. No, it's a very good question. I think something that's interesting is that since the national demonstration on the 10th of November, there's been a massive step up in the students' movement. That clearly kicked off something. It sparked something, but it's not just students that have a reason to revolt, as I'm sure you're aware, and I think lots of other areas of people who are affected by welfare cuts and other cuts to the public sector are sort of looking at students to lead the way in how to resist the government's overall cuts agenda.
Because it has been very radical, the student revolt. You know, it took me by surprise. You know, I've been dealing with this sort of stuff for 20 years, and the student revolt is kind of, what are the guys doing? It's proper.
Yeah, absolutely. And what the spark was that triggered it on the 10th of the 11th, I'm not really sure if we'll ever know, but it certainly kind of, I think, ignited a feeling that was present anyway among students and among like broader sections of the population. And at the moment the spark is burning brightly, shall we say, in the student movement, and my hope is that it will spread to other areas of society as well.
So how do you see the how do you see this spread happening? You do have some ideas for how to spread this movement wider?
I mean, I think in a way it happens simply as for the fact that these student demonstrations are taking place, and they're taking place regularly. And we've had, I don't know if you've seen or if you've got this from speaking to other people in the occupation, we've had a huge amount of support from the unions, both at SOAS and beyond SOAS, not just education unions as well. So there's some links developing already. I think we're going to need to do some united actions soon. The TUC have called a demonstration from March, which is probably not soon enough in my opinion, but if the student movement keeps gathering pace in the way that it is, and like links keep developing between the unions, and hopefully we'll see some united action soon, and unions will be and others will be taking that back to their own movement.
So this is looking a little bit like 1968 in a kind of tiny sort of way. Can you see any parallels?
It's weird. It's kind of a strange combination of 1968 and something more like the later period of Thatcher, because, I mean, 1968 I see as potentially a very progressive movement, whereas this is ultimately a defensive movement. You know, the reason people are up in arms, the reason students are revolting is to defend what we've got at the moment rather to move it forward, whereas in 68 there was a real sense of we're going to make progress, we're going to move beyond what we've got already. So the spirit of 68, but sadly at the moment the defensive-ness of the Thatcher period.
So can you tell us what's happening here? You know, what's this occupation about? You know, why were people motivated to occupy this space?
The primary reason is the belief that if we are going to defeat the legislation on higher education, the vote for which is on the 15th of December, students alone will not be enough. We need staff on side, both lecturers and other university staff, and we need university administrations. We need vice-chancellors to stand up and say to the government, because they're the ones who the government most listens to, we don't accept this, we don't want this is going to be a disaster. So the idea of this occupation is to put pressure on our university management to make such a statement and to come out and join us in our fight against the government plans for higher education. Of course, somewhat fortuitously and happily, since we've occupied, many other universities up and down the country have occupied as well. So now it's adding to the broader student movement in addition to putting pressure on our own management. Okay,
and if people want to get involved, how can they contact you?
SOAS Occupation 2010 at gmail.com.
Okay.
Email messages of support, or email and say you want to come down. People are bringing gifts, food's always welcome.
And you have particularly good events, I hear.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Mark Steele tonight, he's a political comedian and columnist for The Independent. Tomorrow morning we've got Ken Livingstone, the former and future Mayor of London. We've got Tariq Ali in the evening, Chris Nyman in the afternoon from Stop the War.
Centre of London on Vision on TV.